Meet Allison. Now, for those of you who aren't in the PDSB, Allison is the magic behind our Edtech program. In addition to giving epic rookie teacher therapy, she's also what I'd like to call a boat rocker. Let me give you an example. I was in one of her training sessions and she gave us this challenge. It went like this. Think of a student that you currently teach. Now write down 5 things you know about them. In like 30 seconds, I had 5 sticky notes full of information. But then Allison said, stop. Now cross off anything on that list you did not hear from your student directly. Anything you got from other teachers, other students, or from their OSR. Still quite proud of myself. I had 2.5 sticky notes full of information. And when Allison asked us to turn and talk to our elbow partner about what learning felt like with that student, I remember getting a little emotional accounting the learning journey that we had spent with one another. But Allison was not done with us yet. She said, okay, time for round 2. This time, I want you on your sticky note to think of a colleague that you currently work with. And I want you to write down 5 things you know about them. However, this time, you're not allowed including anything that you've got from staff room chitter-chatter, from photos on a desk, from other students, from the OCT website, or from your epic social media stalking skills. Shh. Busted. I remember sitting there thinking that a Band-Aid had been ripped off. See, with my students, when they're in a community where they know they are loved, where their ideas and their opinions matter, magical things start to happen. But as I was sitting there with my sticky notes in front of me, I began to wonder if that was true with us as adult learners as well. See, I believe that teaching is an extremely relational profession. And for all the investing in relationships we do with our students, we seem to be deficit in investing with each other. It's this weird phenomenon that I've come to affectionately call this lifeboat mentality or this lifeboat theory. If any of you have ever watched or read any epic nautical survival tales like The Life of Pi or The Titanic, you'll know what I'm talking about when I describe that these lifeboats, that they become this symbol of how the worst versions of humanity are birthed under the most extreme conditions. Even the most likable characters, by the end, sometimes undergo this transformation and they end up pushing each other out of the way or throwing each other overboard or giving into cannibalism. In teaching, this metaphor applies itself to the changes that happen in divisions, in grade teams, and between classrooms themselves. Focuses begin to shift. Staff rooms become places of alienation and segregation, and instead of celebrating crazy learning successes, we're complaining about everything, from dishes in the sink to missed planning times to lost parking spots. We start measuring and determining our worth against each other. We become competitive, and we try to outdo each other. We want better bulletin boards, better assemblies, quieter classrooms. Our attitude of gratitude is replaced with an air of entitlement, which is swiftly followed by this unquenchable desire for more crazy, silly stuff, like more office supplies, super duper sticky notes, Sharpie markers, Twitter followers, better planning times, more retweets, you fill in that blank. In this glorious pursuit, we become incredibly disconnected and disenfranchised. Sound painfully familiar? All this to say is that we lose sight of the fact that we are in the same boat, surrounded by the same ocean, and survival is not a solo mission. If we want change in our situation, we need to think about becoming better at cultivating authentic relationships. Choosing to walk a path of vulnerability. So how do we start? I'll confess this isn't a formula because I haven't really figured it out myself yet, but what I do know is this. Vulnerability is practiced when we choose to be present in the lives and learning adventures of others. When we take time to invest, to listen to each other, to endless seas of questions, time to eat together, time to run races, time to celebrate birthdays, time to laugh, time to cry, and time to walk a path of empathy. Vulnerability is practiced when we own our stories and when we reflect out loud, when we share our learning and thinking with others, when we're not immune to criticism, but we possess the wisdom to allow others to be a part of our own story. When we choose to walk this path of vulnerability, our conversations begin to shift from I and me and you to us and we and together. I want to end this Ignite with a little quote from Brene Brown, whose truths and research in vulnerable teaching and learning continue to whisper truths into my life. She says this: "When we find the courage to share our experience and the compassion to hear others tell the stories, we force shame and out of hiding and end the silence." And I will say, we commit to leaving our lifeboats and rocking boats like Allison did together. Thank you.